All right, heroes, we are getting off to a little bit of a late start this morning. I had a catastrophic system failure. Let me turn the music down a little bit. Catastrophic system failure this morning. My whole microphone system decided to give up its ghost. And so I had to scramble and get another microphone. But nevertheless, approximately half an hour late, it is Fun Friday. And what's Friday and fun without being half an hour late? Any case, you are listening to the Jew Curious Show. This is a show for Jew Curious people of all kinds. If you are interested in converting to Judaism, if you are seeking the Hebrew roots of your current faith, if you are Jewish and have been curious about Jewish stuff your whole life, maybe it's been a while since you've been in a synagogue and you're wondering, why do we do the things that we do? You are in the right place, and I am your friendly neighborhood rabbi, Rabbi John Carrier. If you haven't joined us before on Friday morning, you may be in for a treat or a surprise or the shock of your life, where on Fun Friday on the Jew Curious Show, we answer any Jewish questions you have while playing video games. So in just a second, we are going to go ahead and start doing that. Today, we have a new game to me anyway. It's not that new. It's called Splatoon 2. I like to keep the games family friendly on this channel. No first person shoot 'em ups, no Call of Duty, no Halo, anything like that. But today we're going to be shooting squirt guns full of ink. I hope that's okay with you. If it's not, let me know, and we will adjust our format to meet your sensibilities. In any case, today is an ESRB 10 and up rated game. I think it's okay for families, but love to hear your feedback about that. So in just a second, we will get started, and I can't wait to learn anything with you on Fun Friday. Just having a little drink of the move juice, some coffee this morning. I hope you can hear me okay. Like I said, we had a catastrophic system failure this morning. My preamp microphone, my whole audio setup gave up its ghost. And we're going to say, Alava Shalom, you served me well. Zoom H6, you do not appear to be working with your USB imports anymore. So I hooked up a different USB mic. I have some new people here in the audience today. I see Lesbianerbit says hello. Sienna51 says hello. And some old friends. CJ May, hello from Temple Beth Emmett in Delaware. Hello, CJ. We've got Kay Dixie on live today. Yay. Ariel Bird, seen you before. Hello and good morning. Trigger Sniv, old favorite here. Me neither. Shabbat Shalom. I think he missed us. So I definitely missed you, and maybe I need to work on my aim. I don't know how it is. So let me go ahead and show my face here. It's only fair. Let's see. We're talking about the Torah portion of the week. Ariel Bird says, hey, do we talk about Balaam today? We can, if you like to. This is an Ask Me Anything session while I learn how to play new video games, Splatoon 2. That story freaks me out. The talking donkey, says Ariel Bird. It freaks me out a little bit too. Ghost Wolfie says, hey y'all, good to see you here. Christy Scroggs, our good friend from San Bernardino, says, good morning. Nice to have you here. Naya Shashi, happy you're on today. Good morning all. Very happy to see you all. So I'm going to go ahead and show my face. It's only fair. Let's see, just chatting. Here I am. I hope you can hear me. It's Fun Friday, so I'm wearing my gimme cap from a factory tour that my wife took while she was in business school, and my Yoda and Seagulls t-shirt. So if anybody out there knows the story of a YouTube video with Yoda involving seagulls, let us know in the chat. So this is a favorite YouTube video in the Carrier household. Hold on, I'm going to put on my ear goggles here just before we play a little bit of Splatoon. Can you hear me okay? It was a little bit sad because my microphone seemed to give up its ghost, so I put in a new microphone. I hope it works all right. Let's see. Naya Shashi's here. KG Wilcox from Philadelphia says, hey all, good to see you here. Christy Scroggs says, miss you guys on Monday. Trigger Sniff says, hope you had a great vacation. Let's see. Bad lip reading could be. That's exactly right. That's the look up Yoda Seagulls on Facebook, and you'll get one of my family's very favorite YouTube videos. So just getting all my gear together here. Got my ear goggles on. Got my controller. And we're playing a new game today. We've been playing Mario Kart here for a little while, but there's another family-friendly game I've been wanting to try out, Splatoon 2. So you let me know what you think about that. Let's see. That log had a child. Ariel Bird is, in fact, familiar with that video. So let's see what the game looks like. This is a front screen of it. We're going to try this out. I've been playing this a little bit this morning. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't want to just have the whole original setup situation. Come on. Come on now. Recognize the controller. Where are y'all at? Doop-ba-doop-ba-doop. Please tell me my controller isn't out of batteries too. That would be the cream of the crop. All right. Oh, here we go. There we go. Just hitting the wrong button. Let's see. Can y'all see what's going on? Almost as weird as the talking donkey. So what is the meaning of that parsha? I'm completely confused. So hold on a second. I don't know if the screen that we're seeing isn't the same as the screen I'm seeing on my game monitor. Gonna slip into this for a second. Sorry, technical. This is the day of technical difficulty. One sec, y'all. Video capture device. Video capture device number 2. Let's see. Elgato. Not that one. Let's do a different one. Elgato. That's much better. Let's see. What do we got? It says, y'all feeling fresh out there, says one cartoon figure. We're off the hook, coming at you live from the middle of the Inkopolis Square. Let's see. What is that? The Splatocalypse is here. Time to forge the world of your dreams. I think when my daughters get home, they're really going to love this game. Head over to the Splatfest terminal and pick a sign for the last time. So, Ariel Bird, what is the meaning of that parsha? So, that's a complicated question. There's a couple of things going on in this week's Parashat Balak, in which we have a story about a talking donkey, but that's probably the most interesting but least important thing that's happening in this week's Parsha. Ghost Wolfie says, I read that the mark of Cain was a dog. Because Cain didn't really know what death was, Abel would have been the first. Hashem gave him a dog to travel with, which is compassionate, I think. But did I misread? Or, I could see that being a midrash or an interpretation of that, because the word Kalev is for dog, and like canine, things like that. There's a lot of interpretations of the past, especially in medieval times, based on puns, based on phonetical interpretations, which are maybe solid, maybe not. This is the first I've ever heard of the mark of Cain being a dog, but who knows? There's actually, in the Jewish tradition, there's a sort of ambivalence about dogs here. Let's see. But what's the meaning of that parsha? Well, there's a few different things going on. One is that Balak, the king of Moab, hires Balaam to... I'm just trying to get past all this gibberish here. All this jibber-jabber on Splatoon 2. You need a special stage for Splatfest. I'm not interested. Just get me to the main menu. Okay, maybe we can get out of this pretty soon. So anyway, Balak hires a magician, sorcerer, what have you, to hunt out the Israelites and to... Where's that shady character I was going for? Where's my friend here? Oh! This is a new place for me. So Balaam, what is this? Cancel. I don't want to do all that business. Balak had hired the sorcerer Balaam to put a curse, a sort of spiritual hit, on the Hebrew people, simply because he'd seen what else was going on with the Hebrew people, with the Israelites traveling to the wilderness, meeting other kingdoms, it not going well for those other kingdoms, and so Balaam said, well, maybe if I could have Balaam put a hex on them, put some bad mojo on them, it'll be easier to defeat them in battle. Let's see what this guy says. Meow, you smell fresh from my litter box. That's not very nice. Get to the lobby and play some turf war battles, okay? Once you played a bit and leveled up, don't forget to visit the weapon shop in the square. Here's Suzy. Here's Daisuke. So Balak hired Balaam to go and put a curse on the Israelites, and God wasn't super keen on this idea, but said, okay, well, if you really want to go on ahead and do that, but don't say anything about them that I don't tell you to say. At first, God was like, no, don't go. And then Balak put a whole bunch of more money in front of Balaam and said, are you sure you don't want to curse these people? And God says, you know what? You do what you want to do. A lot of linked gaming on this. I'm hoping maybe with Splatoon we can play some linked game with the Curious crowd. Figure this out someday. Maybe change my clothes here. Earlier I was playing a campaign game. I'm trying to get back to that. Welcome to Ye Old Lofi. Thou hast all the freshness of a piece of salted cod. Ew, a salted cod piece. Okay. Okay, looks like I have 0 points, so this boutique is not going to help me. Get thee to a regular battle and return hither once they have been raised. Let's see. Turn down the game. We can't hear you. So let me try that out. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. So figured that thing out. Listen up, y'all. All this stuff is new to me. They do not teach you how to live stream video games while teaching Torah in rabbinical school. Nevertheless, I will not shy away from the challenge. Where was I before? That lady was going through here. Doop-a-doo. To enter this area, you need to purchase and download Splatoon 2. Oh my goodness. Well, let's see. So far, I have to do a bunch of things that I can't do in order to play this game. So, in a nutshell, in case we don't get to it while we're playing Splatoon, I'll say God gives Balaam, not one of the Israelites. Balaam is hired to put a curse on the Israelites. God says, look, you can go do whatever you want, but I encourage you to not curse them, but bless them instead. And Balaam seems to be choosing to go on this mission to curse them, and at every point, God sort of says, look, again, you're free to do what you want, but I want you to know I have a strong opinion about what you choose. And so at first God says no, and then he comes back and God says, okay, you can go if you want to, but don't curse them. And so he gets on a donkey and he starts going on the way. The donkey is blocked by an angel. He can't see the angel, but the donkey can. The angel says, or rather the donkey keeps stopping, and Balaam hits the donkey, and he says, why won't you go where I tell you to go? And the donkey says, I'm trying to protect you. And the next words he should have said were, oh my goodness, a talking donkey. Instead, he said, why won't you go where I want you to go? And then the angel gets out of his way, who was blocking the donkey. He goes on his way. He gets to see the Israelite people. Balak, the king, says to curse those people. And he says, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to ask God what to say. And whatever God tells me to say, I will. And then he gets up to curse them. And then blessings come out of his mouth. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Let's see, local wireless connection. Let's see, how do I get out of this mess? Okay. I need to get out of here. X out into the menu. Lobby, the square, Octo Canyon. Let's go back to the square. So, in my mind, what is going on in this Parsha is a rehearsal for Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 19, where God says, I put before you a blessing and a curse, life and death, choose life, right? Where God makes it clear that we have free will, whether we want to go in the path of blessing or want to go in the path of curse. And yet, even with that choice, God gives us an imperative to choose life, right? We get to do whatever we want, but we also get guidance from God's opinion about this. Choose life, choose blessing. And Balaam, at various points, has the opportunity to curse us and then does not, chooses blessing instead. And he lives, and we do also, which is nice. Okay, what's going on here in this square? I'm trying to get back to this place. I was playing kind of a campaign game before. Yeah, I can't seem to find it. No, not any of that stuff. Let's see. However, my ex-Orthodoxan said, one can always adopt an already spayed dog. We can't spay, though. It's kind of interesting where people are basing their values on, let's say, medieval interpretations of law, even though we live in the 21st century. There is a view that, you know, we should follow the same Judaism that people have been following for approximately 200 to 300 years. I disagree. We've been able to evolve since then, and I'll admit my bias. I'm in the conservative Jewish movement, which has always recognized that Judaism does change. Well, let me take that back. The Torah doesn't change. Jewish law doesn't change so much. However, we are always finding ourselves in new places and new times, and we can interpret the law in a way that is appropriate for those times and places, and it has always been such, right? That was what the Talmud was all about. That was what the Mishnah was all about. Certainly Maimonides and his law codes were something similar, like Maimonides was teaching a Judaism that had traditional foundations but was adapted to the time of the 12th century of the Common Era. And so if people say, well, I follow the Mishnah Torah for Jewish legal decisions, and yet I refuse to believe that Jewish law ever changes, there's a little bit of a dissonance there. So let's see if anybody has any. I'm gonna look over here. If anybody has any advice on Splatoon. I was playing the campaign earlier, and now I can't seem to find my way back to that. I find lots of stores where I can change my clothes or change my gear. Welcome to Shella Fresh. Okay. Let's see, I'm just going to get back to... No offense, but you're looking real dry, like bone dry. You seem nice enough, but I got a reputation to keep. I'll sell you some shoes soon as you prove that you can keep it raw. Just hit the lobby and jump on a few regular battles. That should level you up real quick. Yeah, Trigger says evolve, a better word, thank you, instead of change. Yes, of course. We do evolve over time, and I think the conservative movement recognizes that, as does other movements of Judaism. But it's not that this is not an innovation. This is looking at Maimonides and the Talmud and the Mishnah, saying, okay, here were examples of Jewish tradition evolving to meet the needs of their time and place. That is part of our resilience as a people, and this notion that Judaism has been the same since the Torah all the way up to today, put forth by some fundamentalist movements, is historically inauthentic. And while it's very comforting for some people to think there's no change involved, and people are welcome to pursue that path of least change and resistance, it's okay with me, but it doesn't work for me personally. So that's the opinion I'm trying to share today. Let's see, Errolbert says, I have to think about the interpretation more. Thank you, Rabbi. You know, when I look at the classical sources, I tried to find some good stuff about Balaam, and I have to admit that the Talmud, the Mishnah, etc., are very down on our friend Balaam. Let's see, go pick a team. They sort of give him more grief than perhaps his role would admit. Okay, I'm going in all these shops. I don't have any gold to spend here. Just trying to find out where the regular battles are. If this doesn't work, pretty soon I'm going to go back to Mario Kart. That was more fun to play on Ask Me Anything Fridays. Let's see. Octo Canyon, The Shoal, Grisco, Deep Sea Metro. Maybe the lobby. Let's try the lobby. Cancel that. Let's see, K-Dix says, Rabbi, the mic was muffled sound. Perhaps volume could be turned up just a bit. I'm going to try this. This is a different microphone than I'm used to using. Microphone, microphone, microphone. Microphone, microphone, microphone. Let's see, is that working any better? Turn that microphone up a little bit. Microphone, microphone. Try that out. Trigger Snips. Okay, kids. Duty calls. Love you all. Glad. Let's see. Glad to see you. Have a beautiful weekend. Have a beautiful weekend, Trigger Sniv. Let's see. Ghost Wolfie says, K. Dixie, I agree, and I believe the prohibition was to stop cruelty to an animal. Today we have too many dogs and cats. They're being euthanized by the millions a year, and that is cruel. And to think the neuter spay would be a kinder way to go and thus be in line with the spirit of the law, I hope that makes sense. So, let's see. Where do we go from here? This was a fun game. This seems like a fun game to play, except I just can't seem to figure it out this morning. John, that's me. That's my name. Maybe that guy knows what's up. Nope. Looking for a team to play with. Let's see what Mark is up to. Mark is level 15. All these folks are selling tags. Clothing shops. Go pick a team. Let's try out Octo Canyon. Maybe I didn't buy that yet, so we'll see if that works. Is anyone upset and frightened as I am about the North Carolina rally? Yes, I will say I'm not frightened as much as I am upset. Octo Canyon, Tentacle Octo Outpost. Okay, now I'm back where I was before. This is good to see. We're actually going to have some gameplay at this point. Alberta says is upset at the North Carolina rally. Yes. I don't know what to tell you. This is I try to teach Torah here as opposed to get into politics, but sometimes Torah and politics tend to intersect with each other, and I'll say that we have a fascist who is having fascist rallies. Fascists going to fascist. And is pulling up chants of send her back, and then disavows those chants as if he is impotent to do anything about them, which doesn't really seem like his style to be impotent, etc. So that's what I'll say about that. I need one more zap fish to enter this thing. Ghost Wolfie says, question, was Job Jewish or Gentile? And if he was Gentile, has anyone wondered why he was the one picked by Hashem as an example of being a pious man? Is there a deeper meaning to that, or etc.? And Job is one of the, chronologically earliest stories in the Torah. Doesn't really specify whether he is a Jew, meaning B'nai Avraham, or a Gentile, and doesn't seem to make a point of that. You don't need to be Jewish to be a pious or righteous person. You only need to fear God and follow God. So, from the perspective of the book of Job, the piousness or righteousness of Job is, let's say, irrelevant, or rather, his being Jewish is irrelevant to his piousness. So that's another thing I like to make sure people understand, especially in this kind of Jew-curious audience. People are curious about Judaism. You don't have to be Jewish to be a good person. You don't have to be Jewish for God to love you, right? Judaism is a particular commitment of, let's say, I'm going to be a part of this particular family, and I'm going to follow the commandments. I'm going to follow these mitzvot, which does not always make for an easy life, especially when it comes to dietary restrictions and things like that. You don't have to be Jewish to be right. You don't have to be Jewish to be, what God expects of you. Being Jewish just means, I am connected to the Jewish family. I'm connected to the Jewish people. I'm going to follow these particular commandments of the Jewish people. But that's it. And so whether Job was Jew or Gentile is kind of irrelevant to the story of Job. I mean, it's slightly interesting, but otherwise irrelevant, I'll say. Let's see. Ariel Bird says, sorry about the political slant. I ordinarily don't bring this stuff up. No, I think it's entirely appropriate. If you're interested in the health and safety of the Jewish people and you've learned about the Holocaust at all and heard us say never again, to have a rally of people amped up about sending people back to the country they came from, even though they're naturalized U.S. citizens, that's been said about and to us before. Furthermore, to have conservative people invoke anti-Semitism or Ahavat Yisrael as an excuse to denigrate folks, they're basically using Jews and using Jewish history for their own political ends, which is completely disgusting. So, if you think that you are doing something that, I saw a great cartoon this morning of somebody watching that North Carolina rally where it says, send her back, and the word bubble says, oh, what a great example of these people fighting anti-Semitism. And the caption was, a complete idiot. Right. So they're using anti-Semitism and the defense therefrom as an excuse to denigrate American citizens and tell them to go back where they came from. I find that, as a Jewish person, I find that completely disgusting. There are Jewish people who disagree with me. That's true about all Jewish people, is that we often disagree with one another, especially when it comes to politics. Even interpretations of Judaism. But yeah, don't be fooled. If somebody's saying, "Oh, we're not being racist. We're fighting anti-Semites," yeah, that's naive. He says while shooting paint at octopus tentacles. Yeah, as Lesbian Orbits points out, they asked a Jewish reporter what his ethnicity was. I'm sure Kellyanne Conway thought she was being cute, trying to make a point, saying, oh, well, I'm Irish and blah, blah, blah. What's your ethnicity? You should know that we're defending you. But the optic of being in the Rose Garden, representing the president, and asking a member of the press what their ethnicity is, sends a different message. And with her particular position of power, she should know that. It just comes off as, oh, well, check your tone, Jew, before you compare what's going on in the world. How dare you ask a white person about their judgment? Let's see. T Fox RPG, but hasn't Conway said explicitly anti-Semitic things? I'm not familiar with specifically anti-Semitic things that Conway has said. I can't make a claim about that. I will say, asking a reporter in the Rose Garden what their ethnicity is, even for a rhetorical flourish or to make some kind of cute point, is entirely inappropriate. And she should have known that. That just goes to show what a JV crew is running the U.S. government right now. Kay Dixie says, the no-hide laws are great, and I used to follow them, but then I realized I could do much more. True. I mean, no-hide laws are cool. I'm a fan. Entirely support people following those laws, and you can be a good person following the no-hide laws without taking on the mitzvot and additional responsibilities and commitments of Judaism. Or, and you can join the Jewish people, take on additional commitments, additional solidarity with people, and that could be another way to live your life, which I highly recommend, personally. I don't go around converting, I'm not proselytizing for this. It's kind of our deal, is that we don't do that so much. But I do hold the door open for folks. That's kind of the role of this channel, the Jew Curious show, the Jew Curious school that we have together. I will say that if you're interested in the kind of work that we do together, checking out the Jew Curious school is a nice thing to do. It's an online school where every week we get together, we learn the Torah portion of the week, we learn some more intermediate topics in our mini courses. This month we're talking about Jewish thought, for example, different philosophers, Maimonides, the Kabbalists, some contemporary philosophers. Let's see. I know people didn't come here to learn how to play Splatoon. I certainly could use some help with that. What is this guy saying here? A little strafing there. All right, check him out. But anyway, if you want to do some more in-depth learning, some closer one-on-one stuff, we have a great Introduction to Judaism class, as well as some more intermediate courses. We have a Torah portion of the week discussion. We spent about half an hour or so talking about Balaam earlier this week with some texts from the Talmud. Okay, how do I beat this guy? I gotta throw a bomb at him, it looks like. Let's see. Ghost Wolf, he says, I'm a vegetarian, and part of the decision was due to the kosher laws. I gave deep consideration to why the laws were made, and concluded that since we started as vegetarian, that's true, it's with a close reading of the Torah, you can deduce that we were vegetarians until Noah came along. And Hashem cares about animal cruelty. I would go back to the diet prior to Noah. Right, before Noah, there was no consideration of eating animals, at least as far as the text was concerned. Let's see. Nope, don't want to get hit by that. I'm not doing great with the sight on this. Oh, keep forgetting. Okay. So if you're not familiar with Splatoon, basically it's a paintball game, and where you're part human, part squid. And as long as you've got a strip of paint that's your color, you can turn into a squid, travel up that paint into places where you need to go. Now it says, is the Jew Curious School live classes, videos, or both? It is both. We have, at this point, that may change soon, we have three live classes a week, but all the live classes are recorded, which means since we've been in operation since, I'll say, late October, we've been recording 2 to 3 live classes a week, which means at this point, there are over 90 videos. We may be pushing 100 at this point. So we have 100 videos ranging from 30 to 60 minutes or more on a bunch of different Jewish topics. But I'll say my favorite part, which is neither live nor video, but asynchronous, is the community forum. So we also have a bulletin board where people can go in, ask questions about the classes, or ask whatever questions are on their mind. Let's see, I'm going to get it as in squid form for my jump. Okay. Don't look down or do whatever. Let's see. Drop through there. Ghost Wolfie says, question about the donkey. If you already covered it, forgive me. Was the donkey already around prior to the flood or something of that sort? So, is he, she, I'll say it's a she. It says it's an atone, which means a she-ass, or she-donkey. So it is a she. A special magical donkey. Did I misread again? Not at all. So there is a rabbinic tradition. This goes back to the Mishnah in Pirkei Avot that says there were 10 things that were created in the beginning of creation, or rather, let's say at the end of creation, in the sense that God created the world in 6 days. On the 7th day, God rested. But according to the Mishnah, which traditionally is seen as an oral tradition going back to the giving of the Torah from God to Moses, there were 10 things that were created Bein Hashmashot, on twilight of Friday, of twilight of that 6th day. And these were certain magical things that didn't kind of go along with the rest of the laws of nature, including the ram that replaced Isaac, Moses' staff, a magic well that followed Miriam around, the hole that opened up and swallowed Korach, and some other things, including the talking donkey of the story of Balaam. So, if you go by this interpretation of the Mishnah, the talking donkey, she was created in the first week of creation. But because she didn't really go along with the rest of nature, most donkeys don't talk in this way, she was created at twilight on the 6th day. So, yes, it wasn't just any old ordinary donkey, it was a special donkey. So let's see, I gotta get past this guy. I keep forgetting it's got motion sensitivity to my controller. Whoop! Waiting for her to turn around again. Save my bombs. Let's see. Definition of Semites: a member of any of the peoples who speak or spoke Semitic language, including particular the Jews and the Arabs. It's an interesting question. Like, if there's anti-Semitism, what is Semitism? What are Semites? And so, sometimes, based on etymological reasoning, people have thought, well, any attack against Muslims or Arabs or anything like that is also anti-Semitic, when in fact the word anti-Semitism was coined by Germans, I think specifically by the Nazis, to mean specifically attack against the Jews. And so, while etymologically interesting, the notion of anti-Semitism also applying to anti-Arab sentiment is not consistent with the history of the word anti-Semitism. Let's see, now I've got a special power-up, gonna get some more ink in there. I mean, Semitic languages are a thing, but I was told the term Semite, and thus anti-Semite came about as a way of replacing Jew hatred by certain groups of anti-Semites in the 1930s. So that is actually pretty consistent with etymological history. When they said we're against anti-Semites, they meant explicitly Jews at the time. Semitic languages include, let's see, Hebrew and Arabic, possibly Akkadian. I don't know. I'm not an Akkadian scholar. Okay, I've gotten most of those guys down there. Way over my, let's see, use my power up. Got some extra paintballs, This one will get me out of here. Aramaic, Phoenician too, I think. Aramaic, probably. Aramaic is certainly connected to Hebrew. It's a little bit of a later language. Was sort of the lingua franca, or street language, at the time of the Second Temple, certainly. Phoenician, I don't know a whole lot about Phoenician. Those were different people. All right, so today's a crazy day. We have a lot more viewers than we usually have. I will say, I was really surprised by something. And what I was really surprised by was that after our last broadcast, we had this big jump in followership that I was not prepared for. Originally we were trying to get to 50 followers for our affiliate status. Save one more Zapfish. I did that. What is this? So we got to 50 followers and then immediately jumped past that. 60 followers, 70 followers, 80 followers. And then I'll say over the last week, it jumped again to another, 10, 20. Now we're up to like 117 followers, something like that, which I totally did not expect. And so, didn't know what was going on. Like, did we get mentioned in something? Did the word spread? Are people interested in what we're doing here? Is the first, let's say, channel of Jewish learning on Twitch? And suddenly there's a whole bunch more people following, so I didn't know what to expect. We've got, I think, a normal, larger than normal group of folks watching for Fun Friday today. Very grateful to have all of you here. Do some point-blank stuff on that, dude. T-Fox RPG, I think someone shared the Twitch and YouTube on Tumblr saying that you were a cool rabbi who plays video games. Well, thank you. That's nice to hear that I'm one of the cool rabbis. Oh, the girl named Sig, subscribe with Twitch Prime. I'm so grateful for that. Thank you so much, girl named Sig. Glad to have you here. Lesbian Airbit says same. A $10 bill. I can't really start interacting with the Jewish community in my area for a number of reasons, but I want to start learning and see if it's right for me outside the Jew Curious School and all of the wonderful things you do. What can I do on my own to learn, feel more connected? I don't come from a religious background, so it doesn't come naturally to me, but I love to learn. So there's lots of different things you can do. One of the things that I recommend is read the Bible. Or from our, I'll use a slightly different word there and say the Tanakh. This is actually just a great bit of cultural literacy for people to understand what is in the Tanakh. Some people might call it the Old Testament. I prefer to think of it as just the Testament. Nothing particularly old about it. Whoop. It's a new thing to do. But it's sort of a foundational text, not just for Judaism, but also for, the basis of Christians' understanding of the ancient Near East, and for just a lot of literature in the world. Like, you'll be surprised about stories that you read in the Tanakh that have a basis in other things that we do. I'm trying to pop that balloon, kill that guy and that guy. Let me get behind here and ink up a little bit. So start reading the Tanakh. And I say the Tanakh. If you're not familiar with this, this is Tanakh is an acronym that stands for Torah, Nevi'im, and Ketuvim. Sometimes called the Old Testament, but it's not a one-for-one match with what's in the Old Testament sections of a Christian Bible that also contains the New Testament. So it's not exactly the same thing. But get yourself a copy of the Tanakh. One that I recommend is the JPS Tanakh. Just type in JPS space TANAKH in Amazon, and you'll see a number of different editions. But the JPS Tanakh is my favorite. I like the student edition that's got kind of a plastic cover, which is kind of cool because you can carry it around without it getting damaged. So that's a good way to start. You can check out, I've got over 200 videos. I've got like 230 videos on YouTube at this point about various basic and, not so basic Jewish topics. Another thing to do, I've got a podcast out called The Jew Curious Show. Lately, we've been doing it more live streaming video instead of podcasting per se, but we've got over 30 episodes. We've got like 38 episodes of podcast, and I like to interview other Jewish folks, rabbis, artists, teachers, writers, and you can get a broad perspective about Judaism there. So YouTube, look for Rabbi John Kerry on YouTube. Podcast, and this isn't just, promoting myself. There are lots of other things out there you can choose to do. But like I said, I've got about 200 videos on the basics of Judaism. I've got about 40 podcast episodes almost with various Jewish scholars, leaders, teachers, artists, what have you, that give a very broad perspective on Judaism. I think that's a good place to start. Some books I recommend. It's a Mitzvah by Rabbi Brad Artson was kind of where I started. Herman Wouk's This Is My God is a good text, although it's a little bit dated. I think it's from the 60s or something. Lots of good stuff happened in the 60s. Personal fan of The Doors and Jimi Hendrix, things like that, but that's not the question you asked. But those are some ways to get started. I hope that's helpful for you. KG Wilcox says, Moment Mag, what 5 books should you read? Oh my goodness gracious. KG, thank you for mentioning that article. So, special place in my heart. KG Wilcox just shared a link. Moment Mag, what 5 books should you read to be an educated Jew? So I've done something. This is like a little secret project I'm working on. Not to be confused with the other secret project I mentioned, which is still a secret. But here's where I'll reveal something I've been doing lately. Moment Mag came out, asked about 20-some different Jewish folks what are their 5 favorite books. Hold on, I'm getting a phone call. Oh, it's my dad. I'm going to call him back in just a minute. Moment Bag asked a number of teachers, authors, what have you, what 5 books should you read to be an educated Jew? And so of, 20 different authors, there were a number of perspectives there. But what I did is I took these 20-some different authors and wrote down all of their selections, all of their different answers to this question. I made myself a list. And when you take out the duplicates, you get about 90-some books. And I have decided that however long it takes me, I'm undertaking a project to read 100 Jewish books that I sourced from this particular list. It's the fastest I've ever beat that guy. And so I took those, I made a little spreadsheet, and so you'll see on my blog pretty soon, rabbijohncarrier.com, I'm going to start posting book reviews of those different books. And these aren't new books for the most part, so it's like, why would you write a book review on something that's not a new book? Just for like an exercise for myself, to go with my own understanding. What the heck? I thought I beat this level. Final checkpoint. Oh, these guys. Okay. All right. Let's see. Also, myjewishlearning.com. Oh boy, there's another one. Myjewishlearning.com article: Top 100 Jewish Books. Jewish Literacy also comes on audio. I have the book. Yes, Jewish Literacy, great book. Motions. Let's see. That's a great idea. I have a lot of books. So there's a motion going. Michael Pacheco says, I motioned that the reading list to start Jew Curious School book club. Okay. Okay, Dix. So I'm all for that. So pretty soon I'll make a blog post, and I'll put it in the Jew Curious School and on my website as well, of the 100 books that I am reading for this project. I'm almost done with the first one, which is actually something I've read before, but wanted to read again in this spirit. And that is Yerushalmi's book, Zachor. I basically took the 100 books and put them in a spreadsheet and then randomized them. So used the rand function to put them in random order, and then I ordered a few on Amazon. So stay tuned for that. Let me pull back here to power up my hit points while I answer T-Fox RPG. Rabbi, I read a thing the other day saying that gender of various people in the Torah changes periodically in the Hebrew. Can you talk on that at all? So Hebrew is a gendered language, and usually the pronouns and things like that will go with various folks in the story is explicit, and every once in a while, I wouldn't say keeps changing on a lot of people, but every once in a while, for example, you might see numbers and genders changed for God, and then Rashi will attempt some sort of explanation. It's not a widespread phenomenon, I'll say. But you might see it from time to time, and I'll say look in the Rashi commentary as to where and why that's happening. So let's see if I've collected enough Zapfish at this point to move on to another level here. Okay, Dixie's talking to Michael Pacheco. I like that idea, and in the Jew Curious School we have a forum called What Are You Reading? Great. Rabbi, I read the other thing saying that gender. Okay, we talked about that. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I've got all my Return of the Octane, Rescue the Zapfish. Save one more Zapfish. Okay, I've been here. Let me just mark this. That's a place that I've been. Oh, I think I can slide under them. Can't slide under there. Okay, there must be some things that I'm not seeing to do here. I want to go back to Inkopolis Square. Wish I knew how to operate this grill. Like Pacheco, it seems like a lot of people don't realize that grammatical gender and biological gender are not at all related. That's an interesting idea. Just because Hebrew is an explicitly gendered language, there's no neuter gender in Hebrew like there is in, say, German, for example. So some of it's based on conventions, some of it's based on ideas about gender that are explicit in the cultures, but there's no neuter in Hebrew per se, and so some people take that to mean, oh, things must be male or must be female, when that's not necessarily the case. Maybe this person can help me out here. You know, you remind me of Agent 3. If Agent 3 were like 2 years older and practiced basic hygiene. Alright. I think I might have just uncovered a mystery here. Valid Bill says, speaking of language, why would college recommend taking ancient Greek for a Jewish studies minor? So that's interesting. Jewish studies minor. At later times in Jewish history, ancient Greek becomes helpful because there were some writers like, I don't want to say Josephus. That's a little bit out of my area of expertise. But many Jewish works were translated into Greek, and Jewish scholars came into contact with Greek scholarship. Various Jewish communities became Hellenized to a certain extent. And so you could see where some early works of Jewish scholarship were published in Greek. And so Greek would be, if you're already studying Hebrew for a Hebrew language or Hebrew studies minor or major, Greek might come in handy as well. Okay, so this is a totally new place. I've been wandering around the same place for a little bit. Hopefully this is a new environment for me to save a zapfish. So this looks like my tutorial area. I think I've been here before. Let's see, KDXC, Ariel Bird, Mark Twain wrote a humorous essay about the gender of the gender of German nouns. Ghost Wolfie, Mosaic Magazine, Observation, History Ideas, the movement to degender Hebrew linguistically. Actually, it's a teacher of mine, Tzemach Yoreh, many years ago wrote a gender-neutral atheist siddur, not only talking about neutralizing the gender, but also taking God out of the equation for his own purposes. Railbird says, a little awkward to read. I don't know. I have a friend who's transitioning. We talked about Z for a while. Okay. Alrighty. Nope. Okay. Fell down here a little bit. Also an interesting series. You're in for photographic journey through Jewish life across the USA. I just got a book called Judaisms, which look for Judaism with an S on the end of it. Might be the book that you're looking for. Like Pacheco asks, has anyone read the Gone book by Rabbi Jack Abramowitz? I have not. Let's see. Hey, that's a great point. Ghost Wolfie Hebrew now isn't the same as Biblical Hebrew. That's absolutely true. It's been a language that's evolving for quite some time now. Okay. Where is that balloon I was looking for earlier? Yep, okay, died. Worgen and Tzedakah box is different. Let's see. Worgen, can you give an overview of the business model behind synagogues, temples? What is the difference between donating and joining? Interesting question. So over the years, we've had synagogues for over 2,000 years now. Since before Jesus, there were synagogues going back almost to the time of the destruction of the first temple, when we had to reorganize community life in exile. And over the years, there have been various different ways of figuring out how to support Jewish communities. And many of those ways have included, like the richest guy in town would just pay for everything. That was one way. Later on, they had a model where a few wealthy people would support the community by auctioning off aliyot. So those blessings that people say before the Torah reading, they would actually have, looking for a balloon here, they would actually, during the Torah service, would auction those off. And for many people, this felt unseemly, like auctioning off Torah honors for a holy occasion. Didn't seem like a terribly Jewish thing to do. What is this? Oh, there's a new place I just found. And there are synagogues that do that today, even. Especially Orthodox synagogues in some traditional communities, they will have auctions for saying the blessing for Torah readings. But let's say about 100 years ago, there were some Jewish communities that found this unseemly, undemocratic. It felt very much like, you know, the wealthy people in town had undue influence on synagogue policy and things like that. So, again, approximately 100 years ago or so, they came up with a new way of financing synagogues, and that was through membership. And this was, I think, again, spearheaded by the Reform movement. They thought, okay, this feels like a much more, whoa, that's interesting. It feels like a much more democratic way to fund a synagogue instead of one or a few wealthy people determining the well-being and policy of a synagogue. They said, what if we just charged everybody that, what if we took the expense of operating the synagogue and divided it up by the number of people who are associated with the synagogue and just said, okay, this is everybody's dues. And that's when they started charging dues for membership in a synagogue. And this was, again, one way to keep the synagogues open in what many people felt was sort of the most democratic way possible. Small d democratic, there's nothing to do with politics. But they thought rather than, you know, one or a few wealthy people determining what goes on in the synagogue, what if we split it up between a number of different people? And so that's how many synagogues are financed today. That works less and less well. There, you know, yes, there's sort of a democratic impulse there. Everybody pays their share, but recognizing over the last few years that, you know, there are people who can pay more and do, and there are people who can pay less and do. Some synagogues have opted for the, let's say, voluntary contribution model, where they say, okay, this is how much it costs to operate the synagogue, this is how many families are involved here, and so this is what your share would be. But, you know, feel free to give whatever is appropriate and possible for you. That's another way of doing it. So those are different ways that people support synagogues and the financial model, if you will. It's a struggle right now because, I'll say, in America in general, financing things through dues are a struggle, and membership models are a struggle. And there have been, you know, churches are facing the same thing. Elks clubs are facing the same thing. Country clubs, you know, golf clubs are facing the same thing. And they're having trouble. Let's see, there's got to be a way up here that allows me to... Oh, yep, found it. So, you know, various institutions that relied on membership dues and things like that for their sustenance are having a hard time, and so they were coming up with different ways to do it. Some people feel like, oh, this is terrible, it's a pray for pay kind of situation, And how dare they? This feels very unholy. You know, that recognizes that, look, if you go to a synagogue and you get value out of, let's say, having a rabbi or a cantor there, or having various committees of people who are dedicated to working and volunteering, if it's something you value, it's something that costs money and maybe you should pay for it. It's not pay for pray. Anybody can go into the synagogue and pray without paying a dime. Just trying to climb this wall here. A little strafe. See, KDXE, what is the Twitch.tv endeavor? Okay, gotcha. Thank you for the info. So thank you for everybody who's with us today. This is the Jew Curious Show. We're having what we call our Fun Friday, which means I ask whatever questions I'm can catch on Twitch, etc. While playing video games here on Fun Friday. Yet to master that kind of backflip there. Load up on ink here. Rabbi, please see the question from Nayashashi for 8 and above. I have a similar circumstance with my children not being as shomer as we are. Okay, I'm just going to pause here in my gameplay. See if I can find that question up here. This is probably the most active broadcast Fun Friday and the most active chat we've had here yet today. So let me see if I can... Nayashashi, Aiden O'Henry on YouTube has asked, I was just adopted by my friend's parents and have been moving in with them and don't want to get in their way. They're Jewish. I am not. Like in the future for holidays and stuff, they are Shomer Shabbat. Sorry if that's not the right term. It's absolutely the right term. And just kind of find somewhere else to go for the weekend if possible. I'm shortening this, but Aiden's question is in regard to being able to use electronics and not getting in the family's way. So I think the best thing to do is just have a conversation. The best thing to do is just to be explicit and transparent in what you're curious about. and ask them what, when they say Shomer Shabbat, what do they mean by that? And that means, all that means is someone who protects the Sabbath. And that means different things to different people. And ask them what they mean by Shomer Shabbat. And for many people, it means not using electronics and things like that. And say, like, look, I'm not, where you are, or, spiritually speaking. I want to honor the household. I want to not make you uncomfortable. How can I best accomplish that? And I feel like if you ask that question out of curiosity and openness and kindness, then they'd be happy to answer it, and you guys can together figure out some negotiations on that. And I think that's effective for, families who have different levels of, let's say, spiritual strictness, punctiliousness, however you want to define it. I think it's good for roommate situations. It's good for interfaith families. It's good for, children interacting with parents, etc. Sometimes the kids are actually more religiously observant, and that can get awkward too. But just be open with each other. Ask questions. Say, okay, this is where you are. Tell me what that means to you. Tell me how you and I can be in a relationship, interact, what have you, without me making you feel uncomfortable. And be honest with what makes you uncomfortable too. This is impossible. So, I mean, I think that's my general advice about things like Shomer Shabbat, Shomer Yom Tov, Shomer Kashrut, dietary laws. Say if you have a different take on the dietary laws than somebody else does, how can you be in a household together? Used to be that wasn't a problem. Used to be everybody who was Jewish in town followed exactly the same rules, or they would get shunned by the community. When everybody lived in a ghetto, that was a terribly convenient way to live your life. And if you weren't Jewish, you weren't doing these things, so it didn't matter. But everybody in town was sort of the same kind of Jew, and everybody followed the same way, at pain of communal ostracism. And for the last, let's say, 100, 200 years, that hasn't been the case. And so we've had to figure out how to live together. And I think the best way to live together in those circumstances is honesty, curiosity, kindness, not, baddies inbound, okay. Not judging not judging people who are, let's say, more strict than you are. But also just, not judging people who are less strict than you are is just as important, I think. Boy, that was close. Oh, interesting. I have to turn into a squid. In this game, if you're not familiar, you turn into a squid and you can travel up paint. Because apparently squids swim in paint. Ghost Wolfie might get I might get booted, so I'll try to BRB. Have to reset some stuff to subscribe. Listen, great to see everybody who's here today. This has been really fun. We have a lot more followers this time than we had last time, which is cool. We have a couple of subscribers I've seen. If you want to throw some bits at us, that's cool too. If you're not familiar with this, as Twitch affiliates, the Jew Curious show, Jew Curious channel, is eligible for support. And a couple of ways you could do that is you throw us some bits. You buy these bits. It's like a Twitch currency. And when we do something cool, you can cheer us on, whether it's learning or some skillful video game moves, which is doubtful under the circumstances. Let's see. Alright, where do we go from here? Oh, okay. But if you see something that we're doing fun, throw us some bits. That helps us support the channel, meaning maybe get some more video games. I bought a brand new video game today, and it's Splatoon 2 here. just to keep it more fun here on the Jew Curious show. And the other thing you can do is subscribe, and that not only helps us out, but it helps you watch videos on this channel without advertising. I know early on we had some folks who were like, oh, I love this channel, but I don't want to watch all that advertising. And now you can subscribe to this channel, I think, for as little as $5 a month or something like that. And in doing so, you can watch all of our videos without any kind of advertising pressure. And just in case you were curious as to whether you're in the right place here, you know, if you're curious about Judaism, if you're Jewish and want to know more about your tradition, if you are converting to Judaism and don't, you know, quite understand all the reason we do the things that we do, that's cool. If you are not Jewish at all, not even interested in being Jewish, but you want to know the Hebrew roots of your own faith, that's another great reason to subscribe to this situation here. And everybody is welcome who is curious about Judaism, I'll say. Alright, we got a Zapfish. Whew, I think that might be it. I think we might have beat that level. Ghost Wolfie is back. Nayashashi says, welcome, glad to have you. So, in any case, if you're Jew Curious, you are welcome here. If you want to support this channel, you can throw us some bits, throw us some cheer here on Twitch at twitch.tv/Jew Curious. If you want to subscribe to the Jew Curious show, you could do that too. I think the minimum amount is $5 a month. And that not only helps us, but it helps you, because then you don't have to watch any advertisements. They just take your money, instead of showing you advertisements, split that money with us, and we then plow it back into the channel. We get new games. We keep our hosting going, doing the other, you know, I probably have, gosh, hundreds of free resources online between, let's say, the 200-some YouTube videos that I put together, and... where's that arrow? Between the 200-some YouTube videos I put together on Jewish stuff, 40-plus podcast episodes, various blog posts and things like that. All of those things put out free of charge, and subscribing or throwing bits on this channel helps support that effort. I will say, if you want to take your Jewish learning to the next level, here's a website for you, jewcurious.school/info, and you can see if this channel is right for you. Before I progress in this level, I'm going to take a little drink. I got to take a little health break here. Get a drink of water, and so I'm going to put on the BRB. Feel free to talk to each other in the chat, and I'll be right with you in just a moment. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Jew Curious show. From Friday Part 2. So here we are at a new place. Hope everybody can hear me okay. In the land of Splatoon. This is a new game for us today on Fun Friday. If you're just joining us, the Jew Curious show is for anybody who's curious about Judaism. You can ask me anything while, in general, you can ask me anything. On Fridays, it's Fun Friday, which means you can ask me anything while I play video games. And I want to give a quick shout out to Ghost Wolfie, who subscribed. We got a couple of subscribers today. Great to see you here. Nawas64 says, Rabbi, you have mentioned various classes, the Miller course, your Jew Curious school, and another shorter course for those who've been Jewish for a while. How do we know which to take? So, good question. The Miller course, so I'll just give a quick shout out to the Miller Introduction to Judaism program. The Miller Introduction to Judaism program is a fantastic program if you're in the Los Angeles area especially, and you want to take an in-person class, with human beings around in the same room with you, taking the same class. The Miller Introduction to Judaism program is, in my opinion, far and away the best introduction to Judaism curriculum there is, hands down. And that's for people who are considering converting to Judaism. Maybe you've been Jewish your whole life and you just want to learn some more of the basics or whatever. It's a great Judaism 101 class. And I say, oh boy, this looks serious, and maybe I should stop talking. I say, Los Angeles, but it's actually kind of franchised, if you will, nationwide. Let's see. Oh, hey, here's how this works. Looks like a boss battle of some kind. Don't stop. You need to keep going. Okay. This looks like a Dalek or something. Goodness gracious, that's terrifying. So if you want to take an in-person class, and not necessarily with me, the Miller Introduction to Judaism program is a great class to take. I don't know what's really the game here. So that's one class, Miller Introduction to Judaism. It's a great Introduction to Judaism class. The Jew Curious School is an entirely online class that me and some of my friends put together, I'll say, back in October, I think, is where we started that. That's a 100% online class. Wherever you live, we've got students from, I think, Perth, Australia, to Southern California, to Florida, to the Northeast. Try to find a way to get up to this second loaf. So lots of different ways to get involved there. But yeah, the Jew Curious School is an online class. Go to jewcurious.school/info for more info on that. The Miller class is for more of an in-person class. There's another class that I've taught before called the Melton School of Adult Jewish Learning. Also a good program. So those are more in-person things, I'll say. Okay. Christy Scroggs says the boss battle is evil crabs. Evil carbs. Okay, hilarious, and thank you, K. Dixie. Yeah, at first I thought you said evil crabs. You know, that's more of a Mario thing. Evil carbs is a different thing altogether. So close. Alright, I think I might have beat this boss. Let's see. Ghostworthy says, silly question, can we play this? Can we play these games? Lol. It would be awesome. As for the games, I mean, they're not on here. Can we play these games? They look interesting. So I'll say I'm just playing Nintendo Switch games. What is this? That looks interesting. And I'm playing them over a platform called Streamlabs, which allows me to broadcast these games on Facebook and YouTube and Twitch simultaneously. So anybody can play these games. And if anybody has a Nintendo Switch out there, get in touch with me, because I would love to play these games cooperatively. I just don't know how to do that, because I am an old man who I've been playing video games for a long time now, back since before the Atari 2600 on my Apple IIe, I think, were my first video games, some handheld Space Invaders type things. So if anybody knows how to play these games cooperatively, is in the audience, and has a Nintendo Switch and wants to play Jew-curious multiplayer Nintendo Switch games, whether it's Mario Kart or Mario Odyssey or Splatoon 2, I'd love to get together. Let's see. Sienna51 says, Rabbi, do you play D&D? I do not. I've always been curious about it. Since I was a kid, I was always interested in the D&D stuff. I always grew up in kind of like rural, small-town America, not a lot of other D&D players. I do know many people today who play D&D as adults and now play with their kids. So, interested, not really experienced in that. Let's see. The girl named Sig says, you would need to pay for the Nintendo Internet service, and so everyone that wants to play, and so would everyone that wants to play along. So that might be a barrier to entry for some people. I'm not a part of like the Nintendo Internet thing, but I'll put this out there. If anybody wants to, if anybody out there has a Nintendo Switch, wants to play cooperatively, has the means, the budget, whatever, to sign up to the internet service, I would be happy to do that and play with you. So we're going to play for just a little bit longer. We've been going for about an hour and a half now. Really had a lot of viewers here today. Had a couple of subscribers, which I feel really good about. Really grateful to the girl named Sig and to Ghost Wolfie and all sorts of people who have subscribed to this channel. Makes me feel really good that people are getting together to learn Jewish stuff, but also having a good time hanging out with the nice people who are here. So Marie says, gotta hand it to the Octarians, though. I didn't expect them to have fully operational Octobosses at their disposal. I think it's time to call in the big guns. Uh-oh. Let's see here. Sheldon, can you hear me? Over. Sheldon says, I hear you loud and clear, Marie. Over. Oh man, this is so cool. Ahem. Agent 4, I'm Sheldon from Ammo Knights, the only weapon shop in Inkopolis with over 542 million years of trusted service. That seems a bit much. Now it says, Rabbi, I hope you have a wonderful vacation. Thank you so much. As people don't know, so next week, it's almost a shame. We're just getting going with some really cool stuff on this channel. New game, many more viewers, followers, subscribers this week than we had last week. But next week, no streams at all. Next week, I'm going on vacation. About 12 months ago, I ended my tenure at a congregation, a wonderful place called Burbank Temple Emmanuel in beautiful downtown Burbank, California, and decided I was going to focus my attention on teaching online. Since then, we've started the Jew Curious Show podcast with over 40 episodes. We've continued to ratchet up the number of YouTube videos that we have now on the Rabbi John Carrier YouTube channel, have over 200 videos, like 230 some videos at this point. Done a lot of experiments in live streaming and things like that, and have started the Jew Curious School, which is a 100% online school of adult Jewish learning, whether you're looking for an introduction to Judaism class or more intermediate level things, whether you want to get in on a live Parashat HaShavua, a Torah portion of the week class, or my favorite part, participate in the community forum that we have there. You can learn more about that at jewcurious.school/info. So these are all sorts of online things I've been doing for about a year now, and after all that, I'm taking a vacation. My first vacation from online Jewish learning in a year, and my wife and I are going to Austin, Texas, to spend some time as a couple in Austin, Texas, and then we're meeting up with my kids who are flying to their grandparents in Dallas. And so next week, no classes in the Jew Curious School, no live streams here. I'm going to take a little breath, and then we're going to get back full bore. We're going to double down. We're going to have some exciting new things happening in the Jew Curious School, and some exciting new things happening on this channel, the first Jewish learning channel on Twitch, perhaps the only one that I know of. So we're going to take a little break, take a little breath, take an inhale, so that we can blow some dragon fire after that. So we're going to have a lot of fun. Ghost Wolfie says, I have World of Warcraft and an old PlayStation 3. Should I upgrade I don't know. I picked the Switch just because I have little kids, and I wanted to do something that we could all do. And so I got a very family-friendly platform, the Nintendo Switch. My girls love to play Minecraft and Overcooked 2 and Mario Odyssey, and they haven't seen the Splatoon. I just literally got this morning for this live stream. And so when my kids get back, they're going to learn how to play Splatoon, and I think they're going to have a blasty with it. So we'll see how that goes. So K Dixie put in a great link there to purchase the Nintendo Switch. Look, no pressure. I get no money from the Nintendo people for that. I'm having a good time with it, and it's got a lot of family-friendly games. I don't want to live stream like Fortnite on this or Overwatch. Like Overwatch, I'm curious about just because it seems the people there seem to have a good ethic. But Fortnite, the shoot 'em up games, I'm not really interested in live streaming. Gonna stick to family-friendly stuff here. But in any case, really delighted to learn with people today. Some people asked some great questions about Judaism, about synagogues, about Jewish life. Always happy to answer those questions. If I missed any, I'm so sorry. Come back again next time. I know I always miss some stuff in the chat. If you're watching on Facebook, I'll come back to the Facebook stream a little bit later in the YouTube stream and answer what questions people had there in the text. Best way to join us for live question and answer is in the Twitch chat here, twitch.tv/JewCurious. K Dixie is asking some questions here. Let's see. All right, KG Wilcox says, have a great vacation. So I think I'm going to play for a little bit longer, then I'm going to sign off. Really appreciate everybody joining me today on the Jew Curious Show. Let's see. Marie told me everything. Think my signature weapons can be of help. The new Squid Beak Splatoon. I'm honored. Afraid I can't just let you treat my vast arsenal like an all-you-can-eat buffet. I have a business to run, you know. So let's help each other out. I want you to help me test some new weapons I'm currently developing. All you have to do is use them in real-world conditions. If you do that for me, I'll be able to gather all sorts of amazing data. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. And you can use them in turf war battles. Oh yeah, it's real win-win. Okay, let's get back to work, Agent 4. Stay fresh. Alright, industrial toast into the octo oven. Uh-oh, something goes wrong there. So, as people have mentioned... Oh, good news, you can now use the Ammo Knights Enhancifier next to the Cuttlefish cabin. I thought that was a grill. It looks like my propane grill out of my back balcony. Power eggs and sardinium instead, okay. Alright, where's the enhancifier? Where's that grill? Okay, don't want to go there till after I hit the grill. Christy Scrogg says, it's a great system, love my Switch, easy to use, lots of great games. I agree. I'm a fan of the Nintendo Switch myself. It's a good last Xbox I had was the original Xbox. Use Ammo Knights Enhancifier. Okay, looks like I don't have enough sardinium to unlock these things. Alright. Looks like I'm just going to have to play a little bit longer. K Dixie says, this was fun. Click on the follow purple heart so you won't miss any new episodes. Thank you, K Dixie. That's right, if you're watching on Twitch, there's a little follow button up above the video screen. It's purple. It says follow, has a heart on it. And that'll allow you to get notified every time we play a new round, or just get together and chat about Jew-curious stuff. Suction cup lookout. Okay. Alright. You know what, I think before I get too deep into this, I'm going to go ahead and sign off for today, because I got to go get my driver's license updated. I'll play a little bit longer. Whoop. Got to go to the DMV. Very exciting. Got to go to the DMV today. My driver's license is about to expire, and I don't want that to happen while I'm traveling on vacation. Got to go to the DMV. Going to go visit my friend June today. Tentaquil Outpost. This is the place I've already been. So, KDix says, Rabbi, if you join AAA, they do most DMV functions. Love to do that. Gotta... Let's see... Still can't get through there. Oop. Okay. Just died. Alright, KG Wilcox says, see you all after vacation. Shabbat Shalom. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and shut it off here before I start a whole new big round. But once again, everybody, thank you for joining us on the Jew Curious show today. Really glad to have you. Really great to see a couple of new subscribers and many more followers. If you like to subscribe, you can watch these videos ad-free. If you'd like to cheer on the good stuff that we're doing, throw some bits at us. That helps us to have a better channel, play some new games, continue to provide more and more free opportunities for people to learn. But I want to make sure you understand you do not have to subscribe or throw bits or contribute any money whatsoever to ask questions here, to show up, to have a good time with us. Everybody is welcome here no matter what. And if you want to, you can throw some bits and subscribe and things like that just to help us make a better show. But in any case, really grateful to learn with all of you. I'm going to say Shabbat Shalom for right now. Shabbat Shalom starts at sundown tonight, where Shabbat, I'll say, starts at sundown, wherever you are. And really delighted to learn with you today. God willing, we'll learn more with you the week after next. Next week I'm on vacation, but the week after next, feel free to come back to the Jew Curious show. We are regularly Mondays and Fridays at 9 a.m. Mondays is Ask Me Anything. You can ask a rabbi anything you've been wanting to ask. Never know how those shows are going to turn out, but they always turn out great. And, oh, there's a knock on my door, so I'm going to go ahead and go. But Fridays is Fun Friday. And in any case, I'm going to say Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for learning with me today, heroes. And until next time, peace. Coming.